happy. Beautiful. Episode 94 of From Everyone, here with JP Ratta. Ratta?
Ratta, yeah.
Ratta. Vocalist of Devitalized, my man. Thank you for making the trip out here.
Thank you, Peter.
Appreciate you, dude.
We'll be here.
Before we get into all the fun stuff here, yes, my quick plug up here is that I'm booking music videos for the summer. So if you're interested in a unique and memorable music video, let's talk. Let's make that happen. And for JP, I know Devitalized has, the tough part here is we're filming this like a month before it'll come out. So we're not quite sure where we'll be in the universe. But yeah, plenty of shows, plenty of music, all the good stuff coming soon. I know the album's been streaming out for a little bit. So I guess if nothing else, go stream the album. Go enjoy Devitalized. Go watch the music videos.
Thank you.
Beautiful, yes. I want to start here with like the tour we just went on with Voluntary Victim, where Johnny was just on here talking about it. I heard all of his perspective. I think your like unique part of this is that this was the first tour you've been on, and you helped book this tour.
Yeah.
Which to me sounds like a really like challenging thing of like, I feel like booking a tour is like, if I was booking a tour, I would feel comfortable knowing like I've been on a couple, I've been through the runs, I kind of have some sense of routing of like how many shows we can handle before we need a day off. Like there's some variables here that I feel some control of. I feel like for you, it would have been super challenging of like, I don't know how many shows we need before a day off. I don't know what a normal drive is between shows. Like, what was the process then of like bringing the tour together, of planning it? Like, where does this kind of start for you?
So when it first started, it was like the early of last summer. Okay. And like, we were talking as a band, like, we want to go on a tour. We want to do something like, because I feel like a tour is like the most important part of like any band's career.
100%.
It's like, you know, when you want to really start getting out there and you really want to start like pushing yourself, you need to play in other states. Like you need to expand. And
the classic trap is playing the same VFW every weekend.
Exactly.
It's like, that's fun. It's comfortable, but you got to get in front of more people.
And we were talking about it. We were, working on new music already back then. And like, I was like, what if we did a winter tour? Stupidest idea I've ever had, honestly, because none of us thought anything of it. We're like, oh, we're going to go down south. It's not going to get cold. It's not going to snow because the south is always hot. We had a weekender with slugs, quarantined, and we ended up playing a show with Billy from Voluntary Victim's other band. And I met Billy there, and we started talking. I was like, we're trying to get a band on tour. And he came up to me, and he's like, oh, I'm in Voluntary Victim, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, I fucking love Voluntary Victim. Like, I know they've been in the scene for around the same time as us. They make super cool music, very, like, similar. They're a little more deathcore, hardcore, where we're, like, a little more just, like, metalcore, deathcore based, and whatever. So I was like, fuck it. Like, let's come together for this. So he gave me Chance's contact, and I didn't even think we were actually, like, going to get anywhere with it. I was like, oh, maybe it's going to be one of those conversations that last, like, 10 minutes, and then it's all just hype, and it's all excitement, but then it doesn't go through. That's
the hard part of being in a band, is everyone's got an idea, and everyone's like, I want to do this, and it takes someone like you to sit down and be like, no. Where are we doing this?
We are doing it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So within like a couple text messages with Chance, it was like, boom, boom, boom. Like, we're going to do this. This is where we should start booking. Mm-hmm. And like immediate then, like I went on Facebook, I did the DIY, like tour postings. I put the dates, we got a bunch. And then, we were trying, like you said, figure out like days off and shit. Dude, we weren't even thinking about routing. We were just like, we're going here, we're going here, we're going here. And again, bad decisions. We didn't think that, like, we went from Pennsylvania to Ohio and then down to Virginia. And I'm like, I feel like this is like really stupid. Like no days off in between. Yeah.
And of course, when like money is always tight, that is the nature of being in a band. And of course, when these long drives and the routing isn't right, it makes it even more expensive because now there's more 8-hour drives instead of 2-4-hour drives or something. Yeah. And it all adds up very quickly.
I think one, like the longest drive was like, because we went, when we were going to Pennsylvania to Ohio, and then we found out Ohio got canceled on the tour. We had to drive right to Virginia, and that ended up being like 8 hours altogether. That's brutal, and we stopped for gas like twice, and it sucked. And we were all freezing cold because we slept in the freezing cold the night before. And
what vehicle were you guys in?
We were in a Ford Econoline conversion van that me and my dad and my brother bought for the band.
Gotcha.
And it's very old. She's an old girl, but she runs like a dream. I don't care what anyone in the band says. She made it from the tour and back down to Florida and back, so I don't want to hear nothing.
It beats piling into 2 Civics or whatever the alternative is. Like, I feel like for the first tour, it's very easy to just be like, let's just do it in our vehicles, and then you quickly realize like, no, we need a van. It just makes it so much easier if we're all in one place, so that if one person gets a flat tire, it's not half the band has a flat tire, the other half. It's half the cost of gas. I fucked up my vowels there in that kind of weird sentence, but it gets so confusing. And I'm laughing. You're talking about going south and how like it's always supposed to be warm. One of my first runs was down south, and it must have been January, February, and my thought was the same thing of like, this is gonna be great. Like I'm gonna get down there. It's gonna be beautiful. We get down there. And we were staying with this guy for one night, and like we didn't all fit in the apartment. So I was like, oh, I'll just sleep in the van. Like, this is no worries. Of course, it was the first night Louisiana's ever had a frost. So I wake up in the van, like no heat, no keys, because everyone's inside. Everyone assumed it was gonna be warm.
Yep.
And I wake up and 35 degrees at whatever 6 a.m. Just going, please, someone wake up, let me in, please.
We when we slept in the night we went to Pennsylvania, we slept in one of those just like gas station, rest stops, or whatever, and we were like freezing. I think I think it was like almost in the negatives down there.
Yeah.
And we were all in the van, and it was Andrew, aka Papa, in the back, Tommy, Tommy's girlfriend who was helping us with merch, Dawson, James, and my brother and I in like the front area.
Okay.
And James and Dawson took the front seats. I took the middle row because we turned it into like a bed. We put a cooler there so I could like rest up on it.
Yep.
And our brother took the floor, and he got butt ass naked in his sleeping bag at like 3 a.m. And I'm like, dude, it's like
that's a choice.
I'm like, it's 10 degrees out. Why are you butt naked right now? And
of course, someone's always opening the door every hour to go piss, and every time it opens the door, it just resets the whole thing. Yeah.
And it got colder and colder and colder throughout the night. And I mean, it was like morning too. So like we just like weren't getting the good sleep that we wanted. I remember like walking into the rest stop, like exhausted. Tommy and his girlfriend were in there. They were like trying to stay warm, and I'm just like all melt, like whatever. I'm just like like I'm so like exhausted, whatever. And I just fell asleep in one of those massage chairs.
That's pretty dialed, honestly.
And like it woke up and it was like 10:30 or whatever, and I'm like, damn, I didn't even realize like I came in here, like, and then we were eating BK, you know, like early in the morning, like first thing in the morning. And I mean, those are the nights, like those experiences you can only get on tour. And it definitely was a great experience, but I will never be booking in that van in the winter like that ever again.
It's one of those, like, I kind of hope I never have to do it again, but also there is something so beautiful about those nights.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Like, it's just, they're the best stories to tell. And like, I think that's what I learned was the key to surviving any travel is like, this sucks right now, but in a month, this is going to be the funniest thing for us to all talk about and laugh at each other. Like, why did we think this was a good idea kind of conversation?
It's funny, too, because, like, again, it was, like, mainly my idea, and then everyone was just like, sure, let's do it, you know? And none of us thinking, and we did it, and that's all that matters.
100%.
And there were a couple nights where, like, I slept in the middle row when I got up, and I smacked my head on the wood because we had, like, the bunks and stuff, and, like... Dude, just like I felt like I was getting hit with a flashbang, like in Call of Duty, you know, like just like get up, boom, and I'd be like, whoa,
good morning, I'm awake now
exactly.
For sure.
But other than that, I mean, the routing, like we definitely weren't thinking, and like the sleeping was like awful. I mean, when we went to Virginia, their pipes froze, so there was no good running water, and we ended up staying in a hotel, and we ended up crashing the van trying to get home from getting groceries. We just busted the light and stuff.
Okay.
It was so slippery. Like, I mean, we weren't expecting there to be so much like ice and freeze and stuff going down south, and we were just so upset about that because like most of our shows got canceled. Like all the important ones got super canceled, and we were like, damn. Yeah.
That's the nature of it. Yeah, I think that unpredictability is part of the joy. And like whenever I'm on one of these little runs, like gives me such an appreciation of the bands who do this for 6 weeks, 2 months at a time. Like that scale of it is like, it really highlights how uncomfortable it can be. And I guess by the time you're bringing with Horizon Day to Remember, like you have all the luxuries and it's all set, but like that's 1%. There's a huge 99% of bands that are left over there where it's like, this is what their reality is every single day.
Yeah. I mean, like, Knocked Loose, I think Knocked Loose like toured in a van for like 10 years. Like small, like I think smaller than the one we own. Like ours ain't that big, but they're, you know, they did it, and like they had bunks, and they probably fucking were all like crunched up and like, you know, twisted pretzels, and they made it through. So, I mean, I think it's worth it. And at least, you know, as long as you have the right transportation and you're having fun, I think that's all that matters.
100%.
Honestly.
And you get into this weird thing where I think with Knocked Loose, I agree that I think that they've done a good job of being like frugal in their touring experience. And I think for most bands, it's very like exciting to be like, okay, let's get the RV as soon as possible. And quickly we realize like the RV costs $500 more a week. The gas in it costs another $500 a week or something like that.
Yeah.
And now this $1,000 is like, we can afford it technically with our guarantees. But that means when we get home, it's whatever, $5,000 less to put into merch, to put into advertising, to put in all these other expenses, mixing, all the other things that go into being a band. And like, I would like to pick Knocked Loose's brain, but my understanding of it is like they probably part of their growth was them being frugal and them saying like, we can spend money on the luxury. We could get the RV now, but if we can just spend one more year in a van, it's going to suck and we're going to hate every night of it.
It's way cheaper.
But it will pay a ton of dividends in terms of when we get home. Yeah, we can pay rent. We can pay bills easier, which is always, one of the dilemmas here is you come home and it's like, all right, we had these great 6 months, but now do we go back to working at McDonald's? Like, what do we do now to fill? And it's like, if you can come home with some extra money in your pocket, you don't have to get a McDonald's job. You can keep working on the band. You can keep putting all your energy into this thing and let this snowball keep snowballing. But I think, it must be so tempting to go, we can afford the RV, let's do it right now, or we can almost afford the RV, let's go a little bit above our means to make it happen. But it's like, no, I think, being frugal, making this thing slow and long. And I think Fit for Kings talked about this a lot too, where it's like, I think, I don't know where they are now, but I think Ryan, I believe, was on Twitter talking about this at some point, and just, kind of explaining of like, we can afford a better vehicle, but it's the wrong choice for the band to have the better vehicle.
I mean, you're definitely like tripling, quadrupling your expenses when you do that. Like we have talked about like, oh, should we get an RV? Should we, to be more comfortable? When I'm like, comfort is amazing and that sounds great, but what happens if we start losing more money to act, like you were saying, like to do the things we need to do? It's like that comfort isn't going to matter as much, and at the end of the day, like we have something that's cheap, could use a little maintenance, but I love the van. I think she's a beauty for the way it is. I think if she can haul ass, she can. And it only costs like $75, $85 to fill up the tank. And it lasts like a while, you know, it can last like the full 4-hour trip. Yeah. So I do like it. And I do think like, again, like, for those big bands that you're talking about that have those RVs, most of them aren't even paying for it.
Of course.
You know, they got their labels taking care of that. That's a great luxury.
But even that money does come back, where it's like ultimately the label gives them basically a loan. And that loan has to be then repaid with merch and all these expenses that add up, where it's like, I think it's so easy to be like, oh, it's free for them. And it's like, kind of. But you can get yourself into a lot of trouble if you can't repay that loan. I've had plenty of friends
commitments for sure.
Signed a record deal and gotten, the $15,000, $20,000 to go make the record and whatever. And it's like, that's great. But if you don't recoup that 20, then now you just took out a $10,000 loan at probably some crazy interest rate. And now you have no way to recoup it because the way you thought you were going to recoup it is gone. And now you're back to, whatever job you can afford to do for 3 months at a time while you're home. And like, I am always shocked by how messy and how dark it can get so quickly if you're not smart about the math. And like, it seems like it should be a fun, like, just go do your art, go have fun. And it's like, no. We got to be real tactical about how much. And I think it's true for me too. It's like, there's so many luxuries. And it's like, no, anything I can cut an expense on is worth so much more in the future than having the luxury now.
For sure.
As you're booking the tour, the routing, were you like consulting with people? Were you asking people for feedback? Like, was this something that you just like posted on Facebook? You had a bunch of promoters saying, hey, I'm in Ohio, I got a venue for you. Yeah. Or did you have like a big brother kind of figure that you could be like, hey, they're saying this, is this right?
Yeah. So I hit up a lot of my closer friend bands that are like in the industry. Like I'm pretty close with the Chelsea Green guys, and I have some friends in a band called Hawk that were in the band. And I was asking for advice. I'm like, what do you do when you tour? Like when you first started touring? Because I'm like, I'm sure you guys had to like figure that out from the start. And they're like, hit up as many people as you can. See what the best rate you can get is like within your routes and stuff. And like, what's their cap? Like, do you know if you're going to be able to sell 200 tickets? Do you know if you're going to be able to sell 100 tickets? Like, so that was a big thing we looked at, like how big the room's going to be, how the local scene is out there, because you always want to like, you don't want to have like one local band, because some states, you don't even know where the local scene is, or like if it's a country band or if it's a hardcore band or a deathcore, but whatever. So I hit up some of my friends and they were like, check these states. These areas are like the best areas. And then like I said, I went on that DIY tour postings and I was like, any bands that are interested in this genre, hit me up. And we went through plenty of promoters. A lot of them were like, oh, DM me what you're looking for. And then we would DM them.
Sketchy world.
We'd be like, all right, cool. We DM them, no response, and then we'd be getting closer, like 3 of our dates locked in like the last like 3 weeks, 4 weeks before the tour. That's nuts. So the DIY is very hard, especially because everyone else that's doing it DIY is going in the same chat, going in the same inbox, whatever. I did meet this really nice dude in a group chat for like a metal scene, and he sent me like every promoter's contact from the East Coast to the West Coast.
That's incredible.
And there was like, I'm talking like 20 different promoters for every city, you know? And I was like, I have this like Bible full of like all these contacts now. And I'm like, now I know who to hit up when I do the next
worth
run.
its weight in gold.
But yeah, me and Chance really tackled that. There was a lot of shows that we were trying to get onto that sadly we couldn't, or like, you know, the venue wasn't booking that day. So we were happy with the results we got. It just, it was
the winter complicated things a little bit too. Exactly. Yeah, I know Johnny mentioned some of it was just weather prohibitive of like we would love to get there, but it's a dumb decision for us to try and do 6 hours through the storm, through whatever adversity the thing is facing. Yeah.
Ohio was tough too. Like Virginia was tough. Like we worked really hard finding Virginia bands. They're more of a their scene is a lot more indie alternative, not very like metal wise. Like I was asking like our promoter for that show, and she was like, we don't really have like a metal scene. Like we have hardcore bands, some of them, but like it's mostly indie alternative. And we're like, whatever, we can work with that. You know, mixed bills are always the best in my opinion. You bring a different vibe in different instances. But honestly, it was tough, but we tackled it. We hit up a bunch of people, and we made good friends along the way too.
That's all you can ask for. Yeah. I think the other glory of mixed bills thing is like it's just an easier way to fill the room, right? Like if it's 5 deathcore bands on a bill, then it's like if you don't like deathcore, you're not going to be in that room. But if there's some deathcore, if there's some hardcore, if there's metalcore, if there's we get a wider variety of artists, and there's a wider variety of people who are willing to attend this show. And ultimately, that's the only goal here is to get people into the room, and then it's your job from there to like convert them into fans of Devitalized.
Exactly.
But you can't do that if they don't show up in the first place. And I guess if they're 5 deathcore bands, then maybe they're like better curated to like you guys. But it's like people have a diverse array of interests. Like even the indie kid likes Knocked Loose. Or there's going to be some like even if you're going to indie shows, like everyone's got a wider palette than just one single genre. And if you can get them in the room, if you can convince them, if you can have a cool shirt that looks good that they're willing to spend their $25-$30 on, it's like who cares if they like the band? If they got paid for gas in the next place, then that's all I need for you to some degree.
Yeah, those bands, sadly that show did get canceled too, the Virginia one, because the pipes froze and they couldn't have running water, so the whole city was shut down. But all those bands were super supportive. They all showed up, and when they heard the show was canceled, they were like, "Can we please buy merch from you guys? Can we do something to help you get to your next location?" And they were like, I think one of the bands was called Paradiso or whatever, but super cool people. Like they were all very supportive. And that's like the one thing that I love about the tour the most is just meeting so many people who who have that dream or like see other small bands doing it, and they want to be just as supportive with you 100%. Than anything else. And you know, we did merch swaps and everything, and like they're like, next time you come down, like we better play a show. And I'm like, absolutely. You know, you were there for us, we're gonna be there for you 100%.
That's the best way to do it. I think the other big challenge here is that promoters are kind of hit or miss, and like as a camera person, as a photographer, videographer, like I'm very aware that photographers are a similar level of hit or miss here. And to me, the challenge is like there's no barrier to entry. All you got to do is go spend $300, buy a camera, and now you're a photographer. And so what that means is that you can have someone reach out to you as a band and like hopefully their portfolio, hopefully they have something to offer, but like there are plenty of people that give all the photographers a bad name because they're just collecting money, they're delivering work 6 months after it should have been delivered, like all this like crazy shit. Were there any promoters, I guess without naming names here, or name names if you want to, but please don't feel obligated to, but was there anything that you signed up for where they're like, yeah, you're gonna have a green room and catering, and you got there and there was a shed with a water bottle in it or something?
Not that I think of, honestly. Florida was cool. Everyone there was awesome. I think the one thing that happened was the promoter was there and the sound guy, like they were like friends. They kind of ran the venue together, and the sound guy got mad because we run a rack system. We do not use cabs or anything. We run everything on a quad cortex and like helixes and stuff. And he's like, he walks up to us and we're like trying to do our sound check and put our stuff together. And he's like, "What do you think? This is the fucking House of Blues?" And we're like, "Listen, man, like this is just our setup. It's easier. Like
we're making your life easy. Here's one cable."
Exactly. It's plug and play. It's simple as that. And I don't think there was any bad green rooms or anything like that. There wasn't any like empty promises on anyone's part. I think it was more so every time we would go to set up our system, they'd be like, "What the fuck is this?" And like we would look at them and be like, "Listen, it's literally this cord goes into this cord. You plug it in, you go on your mix, and you just turn up some of the volume knobs." And they would do it, and they'd be like, "I'm confused." And then my brother would have to be like, "All right, so this is how we do it," you know? And it would work out. But it was just so funny seeing like do some sound people really not know how like rack system works and stuff? And I feel like a lot more bands are starting to switch over to that because nobody wants to haul a 300-pound cab,
especially
and a
paying
cab
for
head.
gas to haul it. Yeah, it's like no one wants to carry it up the stairs into your venue, and it costs us more to get it done.
Exactly.
So yeah, double loss here, and probably like. I think the other shitty answer there is like it's easier to steal. Like the more is in your trailer, the more like that trailer is to get stolen. And if all you have is a rack and you can just put it in the back of your van, then like it's probably way safer than having it in the trailer with all the other shit.
We put our rack in the way back, and then we would take all the merch and all like the piss buckets and stuff, and we'd sack them and be like, well, if anyone steals it, they're gonna get drenched in piss and shit. So
power to them,
yeah. But yeah, no, our that was like the only actual like
there's some sorry I'm way off the plot here, but there's some fucking lunatic out there who is like, I hope I get the piss buckets.
Yeah,
like
probably.
That guy exists somewhere.
Honestly, I think when we were in Virginia, when we were actually unloading, Dawson had his bathroom really bad. Again, no running toilets or anything, and we were like, all right, just piss in the back. And he pissed all over the trailer floor, and it was just leaking out. And I was like, dude, how did you manage to miss the water bottle?
You've got 27 years of experience
here. The cap is this big, you know, like the hole is that big. And I'm like, there's no way, you know what I mean? And he was just so upset by it. And I was like, listen, let's just wipe it up. You know, thankfully we had a bunch of paper towels and stuff, but like the whole trailer of the whole U-Haul trailer smelled like piss for like the next like day or so.
Thank goodness it was a U-Haul trailer, not the Devitalized trailer.
Exactly. Yeah, they probably had to clean that out, and they were probably, why is it smelling here?
It's so funny to like, whenever you get a trailer, you go, why does it smell like piss in here? Like, who could have possibly fucked this up? It's like, well, found the culprit. Some other poor local man got that trailer. 3 weeks after you guys dropped it off, and they were trying to figure out what happened. And here's the answer.
Dude, it was like we were doing some crazy things on tour. Like we were like stealing each other's food. Like our photographer. So we went to Krispy Kreme in North Carolina, and I got all the specialty donuts that they had for like that month because Krispy Kreme does these like crazy things. And I haven't had Krispy Kreme since like maybe my freshman year of high school for like a school thing that we did. And we don't have that near Massachusetts. And
Dunkin' Donuts is good, but Krispy Kreme is another level.
I got this like fire Oreo cookie one and this Pop-Tart one they had. And we're in North Carolina, like doing our show setup, whatever. I come back to the van to get something to eat, and I was gonna have one of my donuts, and it was gone. It was my last one. I'm like, yo, who ate my donut, bro? Fess up. Just fess up, bro. And everyone's like, no, it wasn't me. No, it wasn't me. I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna be mad if you just tell me. You know,
I'm mad that you're all lying to my face. Yeah, there's no way someone didn't walk away.
Exactly. Like I know it was one of you guys, and no one else is in our van. So I get told later, like at the end of the tour, that James and Tommy's girlfriend, they were in the van, and he was like, "This is JP's donut. I'm taking it." And I was like, "Bro," and I called him after I got told that, and I was like, "Did you eat my damn donut, bro? Like, come on, bro. Like, be honest with me." And he's like, "Yeah, I ate it, but like, what? You know, I was hungry." I was like, "Okay, wait. If you had asked, I wouldn't have been mad, you know?" Like, that's the funny shit that we were doing. Like, James is not that kind of person, by the way. He's very like, he's a very put together to himself. So like, it's
we all have a weak moment
just,
here and there.
We were just like different on tour. Like we were like fiending for food. Like we were like fighting over like stupid shit all the time. I mean, bands argue, whatever. It's normal. Like if you think every band is super best friends, like y'all are wrong. Like, you know, bands argue and stuff. And we were having a great time doing it, you know, because it'd be like, it would be stupid. It'd be like, "Did you take my beer?" And then it'd be like, "I love you, bro. I'm sorry," you know, but it'd be like a whole hour fight over it, you know? So yeah, we were doing crazy stuff on tour.
That van gets real tight over time.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's,
7 of
no
us.
No matter how much you love anyone, like if you're in that close proximity for that amount of time, like people are gonna butt heads, and it's gonna be over stuff that's dumb, right? Like stealing a beer is like, we're talking about $1 or $2 or whatever. Right? Like it's not that. It's the principle of like, this is mine, and when nothing is yours on the road, right? When you're on the road, everything is so foreign. So I feel like that donut is a good example of like, if that was at your apartment and your buddy came over and ate the donut, it'd be like, whatever, this sucks, but like whatever. But when you're on tour and you own nothing, all of a sudden that donut is now the one thing you own. It's the one thing you can look forward to. It's the one like constant that you have in your life. And that donut then becomes worth so much more.
Yeah.
And to the other guy, it's like he also has nothing on the road. He has no comfort. So that donut is now calling his name so much louder than it would have been in any other scenario.
I wanted it so bad too.
I'm sure you did, and I hope we can get you that donut. We'll crowdfund that donut.
There's Krispy Kreme in Connecticut, right?
I believe so.
Maybe I have to stop there.
I believe so. I also saw. I won't make you tell the full story again, but I saw a clip on your Instagram. You also had a run-in with Buffalo Wild Wings here, where you got some spicy-ass wings. It turns out not the same recipe as you remembered them, but I loved that, you eat one or two of them, not great, wake up in the hotel the next morning, and one of your bandmates said you woke up at 10 a.m. and go right back to these fucking wings.
So we went in Virginia, we went to Buffalo Wild Wings. We had two $25 or... Sorry, two $50 gift cards, I think.
Huge.
Or something like that from like Christmas, me and my brother. And we were like, we're not going to eat at Buffalo Wild Wings anytime soon. We can save it for a tour. It's like one free dinner, pretty much. Saves us as much money we can. And I'm a spice guy. I like spicy food. I grew up eating buffalo wings. Like I ghost peppers, stuff like that. I enjoy that stuff. And the last time I went to Buffalo Wild Wings a few years back, I got the blazing wings. And like the hottest one they have, the one that make you sign a waiver to have.
Okay.
And nothing happened. I enjoyed it. They were great. And then we went on tour. We went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and they definitely duped me because those were the hottest wings I ever had. I took one bite. I ate one. I was like, whatever, not a big deal. I started eating the other one. I started feeling numb. Like my face was getting numb. I felt sick. I like couldn't hear right. I was like, what is happening right now? Like I'm weak right now. So I was drenching it in like the blue cheese dressing because I was like, whatever, I'm gonna get through this. Like I can't show weakness for these wings. So I drench them all and I'm like picking them apart. I'm eating them. I just can't get through it. And I started feeling sick. My stomach was hurting. And I was just like, this shit giving me the bubble guts. Like I was feeling ill. Then we get back to that apartment. I mean the hotel. Sorry. And I put them in the fridge, and then like we're doing our thing, hanging out, whatever. And then it's like 2 a.m. I get hungry. I start eating them, and I felt fine. But then like I blew up the toilet, like honestly. And I was in there for probably like an hour, maybe a little longer.
Which was 4 dudes in a hotel room, and also like I assume everyone's also craving the shower. Like that shower in the hotel room was probably like gold at that point in time after being on the road and being in the van. It's like maybe we got a shower at a venue somewhere, but it's not a hotel shower at that point. Is about as glamorous as it gets. Yeah,
it was dude, I like remember them knocking me like, you okay in there? You okay in there? Because I was like groaning. I was in so much pain. I'm never eating Buffalo Wild Wings. I should make better choices, but it was a great time. It was funny. In the moment, we were in the van on the way back from Buffalo Wild Wings, and I was like, bro, I need to go home. Bro, we need to go home. Like I was just not feeling good. And at that same time, Tom Barber from Chelsea Grim was texting us like, good luck on the tour, stuff like that. Because we were telling him we're heading to North Carolina and we wanted him to come out. And I was trying to text him and be like, be professional.
Together,
be like, And I'm like trying not to throw up in the back of the van. That dude, Virginia, that was when we kind of like really bonded the most because we were in a hotel for a few days. So we were just kind of going out and doing whatever. Yeah.
Did you guys do any like fun like sightseeing? I think when you were in Florida, you got to go to Universal. You went to some theme park, amusement park.
So Tommy B and all of Voluntary Victim went to they went to Disney. They went to the Disney Walk or whatever. Me, James, Dawson, and my brother, we went mini golfing.
Huge.
We woke up a little bit later in the day. We had a kind of a rough night before. We were very tired, and we were just trying to like relax and sleep in. They were at Universal or whatever all day. And we wanted to do like a big band thing, but they weren't answering calls, whatever. They were all getting drunk on the walk. So we were like, whatever. Me, Andrew, and Joseph went on a nature walk in like the beginning of the day. And then as it got a little later, we went mini golfing, and that was really fun. And that actually turned into a pretty funny story. So we were mini golfing, and before we left, we all played a prank on like them. Cause like we're in an Airbnb. We have like, we were like, oh, let's like fuck around and make it feel like we got robbed or something. But we didn't do anything crazy. We just put some like chairs upside down, you know, stupid shit that doesn't make sense.
Sure.
Like, and we went to the mini golf, and me and Andrew, we were like, this is going to be funny, blah, blah, blah. Dawson was like, this is probably going to end pretty bad. Tommy and all of them, all the voluntary victim are getting drunk. You know, they're having a great time. They come back while we're mini golfing, and then we get a call from Tommy, and he's like pissed. He's like, what the fuck happened? Blah, 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 blah. And then it turned in like, I know he was drunk, but he like quit the band for like 5 minutes. You know, we were like, oh my God. So we like we were almost done with mini golf. I was winning, by the way, but we were almost done with mini golf. And then we get that whole blowout happen. We go home, and then he's like, oh, I'm done. This is so bullshit. Blah, blah, blah. I quit. And I was like, bro, over a prank. And then like his girlfriend was like, dude, you're just drunk right now, you know, like you're just being silly. And then after he sobered up and stuff and like whatever, he's like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. And it was like a whole like apologetic moment. I'm like, dude, this is so hilarious. Like, why are we acting like that's what I mean, you know, like it was a great time. And that's what's funny. Like those are the memories on tour as well that I loved making. It's like, you weren't actually that mad, bro. Come on. Like a little prank. Like, and I mean, literally, like we took like the ass bare chairs, like the you know, the IKEA chairs, and turn them upside down. And I think we moved a couple pillows, you know, like, how did you get that? I think we got robbed.
I would love to hear his version of like he came in. I would love to hear what he saw him see Brad at that moment.
But all voluntary victim, they thought it was hilarious, like because they were all there and they were all just hanging out, and they're like, why is he so mad? Like, because we already said we played a prank, you know. But that was just one of those experiences, like. So now
it's one of those like being away from home that long, being around those people for so long. It's like these little things can blow up, and it's not because the thing is worth blowing up. It's just because everything else is so uncomfortable that in his head he's probably like, fine, I get to go home, sit on the couch, kick my feet up, and he walks in, and all of a sudden he can't put his feet up. Like there's that little thing all of a sudden. Now it's a big thing. Now
we always bully him, and we're like, remember when you left the band for 4.5 minutes? And he was going to stay in the Airbnb all night and everything. It was just so funny.
That's part of life. Speaking of butting heads here, I thought the other part of this that I saw recently was a TikTok from Skylar and Tyler Accord. I didn't realize their names rhymed until I said them just in that moment. But they were talking on TikTok about how like, or Sky was talking on TikTok about how, Tyler was talking on TikTok about how just like being in a band together as brothers was a crazy journey for them, where at the first it was like, of course, this is my best friend, I've been with him my whole life, like of course I'm going to be in a band with this guy. And they get in the band together, and all they do is butt heads because they're so close, because they know each other so well. They expect so much more from each other, and they're so much more comfortable being like, hey, fuck you, dude. Whereas to your bandmate, like, there is some implicit respect of like, I don't know, I'm like, we respect our drummer because we know he's a good drummer. But if that drummer's your brother, then all of a sudden it's like, no, fuck, you can do better than that. Like there's some level of like comfort and casualness to the relationship that can almost become a problem. And they talked about how they kind of went through this like up and down, and then ultimately became like their best collaborators with each other, where because they were so comfortable, and once they were able to get past like the beef of being brothers, they were able to be like, no, this is the person I trust more than anyone in the world, so their feedback is now worth more than anything, and they know what buttons not to push on me. Whereas, when they were younger, it was like, let's push all the buttons, and then when they got older, it's like, all right, we got to stop pushing the buttons. What's it been like being in a band with your brother? Like, have you guys always been in bands together? Was Devitalized the first time you guys were in a band together?
So we actually had, like, a long time ago, like, our first band that we had was my high school band, and it was me, him, and a couple of my high school friends. And we butt heads a lot in the beginning. Our first band was called Reverse the Curse, and
is that an Escape the Fate reference?
Everyone says it, so we just kind of go with it, but it wasn't meant to be.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess so.
I've been like on a huge Escape the Fate kick recently.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Bums me out because like I think some of the band members haven't aged as well as I would have liked them to. And I think it kind of taints the legacy of what was. Yeah. But yeah, that what's Dying Year's Latest Fashion, I've just been listening to so much in the last like week or so.
It's a classic album,
it is.
Honestly. It's one of my favorites for sure. Yeah. But no, we butt heads a lot in the beginning. I mean, that's just brotherly love. That's how we act. And we're also, stubborn to each other in our ideas. Yeah. It's always been our dream in music. Like, it's something we've worked so hard to. Like, we learned at a very young age. Like, I think he started playing guitar around like 6 or 7. I started playing drums around 5.
Damn. Is he a year or two older than?
No, he's 5 almost years, 5 years older than me, I think. But my dad's musically influenced. He's always played guitar and stuff. He's played in a lot of cover bands and stuff. So he always showed us music, and that's just something we always wanted to do, I guess.
Yep.
But he and I, over the years, definitely got closer through the music and through the band stuff. I mean, even still to this day, we always butt heads, we argue, we fight. It's brotherly love.
Sure.
But when it comes down to like writing and stuff, I think that's when we like butt heads the most, because his idea of like the music he likes versus the music I like, that's where we clash. He's more of like a Kill Switch Engage, Motionless in White. I'm more of a Chelsea Grin, like Whitechapel, like Acacia Strain. Like we like two different like styles of music.
Yeah.
So when it comes to writing, I'll be like, I'll play the riff like this. And he'll be like, no. And then he'll speed it up. And I'm like, bro, we are not hate breed, you know? But like, I love him to death, you know, and being in a band with him, like, you know, we have our moments, but we always find a resolution to our problems.
I think it's important to have like the different flavors coming into the band. And I think this is something I've tried to be aware of in my own creation, is like, I think I'm like a mutt between like rap and like SoundCloud rap and metal. Like I feel like these two worlds have always existed in me. Like I feel like I grew up listening to Eminem more so than I ever listened to any metal growing up. And then like metal became more of my home, and Eminem faded away, as I think he probably should by this point in a lot of people's lives. But yeah, and even now it's like it's a lot of Suicide Boys, and that's more of what I listen to on the daily than it is the heavy stuff. Yeah. But at the same time, and that's kind of giving me like a, not an identity crisis, a very strong term, but kind of some sense of like, I know that the metal world is my home, but I'm in this world a lot too. And what I've tried to lead into is like, the best thing for me to create is some fusion of these two universes. Like what I should be doing then is taking what I like about this world and what I like about this world and making those into what I like. And now this is my unique voice, rather than trying to make the next Chelsea Grin video based off the Chelsea Grin videos. It's like, that's great, but that's been done. And I think the goal in this universe, in this creative universe, is to find our own voice, to find and like, find our own identity. And my process for that has been leaning into like, I like 100 different things, and it'd be dumb to ignore 99 of them and just focus on the one. It sounds like being in a band would be like a valuable thing of like, if you guys can get past this, clashing of perspective, it's like, if you could find the sweet spot between Whitechapel and Kill Switch, like that is now a unique sound and unique voice. And like, it's, it can be a rocky road to get there, but there is a big value in like going through that. And it's like, whatever that hybrid is, whatever the best of both worlds is now a unique thing that makes Devitalized unique instead of a clone of Whitechapel or a clone of Kill Switch.
Exactly. And that's a big thing that we've actually been doing more recently. Like when we come together to write songs, we try to take every influence we like. Cause I listen to a lot of rap. Like I listen to a lot of Kodak Black, 21 Savage, 42 Doug. Like I like stuff like that a lot because I like the beats, I like the sounds, I like the voices behind it and all that stuff. And most of the band likes Playboy Cardi. Like Dawson loves Playboy Cardi. Like I remember staying up the other night because he just dropped a new album. And he actually didn't drop it. What an adventure that was. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So like we all have different music influences, and that's something I think we're really trying to do with the new stuff we're creating. We're trying to implement a lot of new stuff to make it unique. Because every band is different, and I think for us it's like we like rap, and why not implement some of those beats or some of those crazy sound effects or whatever into our new stuff.
Or even like with rap specifically, I think like it doesn't have to be even like sonic. I think like rap is so good at singles. I think like with a band, there's such a everyone wants to put out the album, and I understand why the album is like the mecca, and I understand like in rap there is still a value to the album, but it's like they are so much better at being like, here is this month's new flavor. Here's what we're gonna enjoy, and the next month we're gonna have a new single out. And like the pace of releases, I think helps rappers so much, and they're so much more inclined to put out a 3-song EP just because and throw it away. And it's like, who cares? This is what it is. Where I think bands oftentimes, it seems to me, get caught of like, we need 12 perfect songs. And it's like, well, that means you put out music every 2 years, every 3 years. And that means that there's 18 months between releases that there's just nothing happening.
Exactly.
And like, that's one of those where it's like, I think that there's worth taking value of the rap, even if like, even if it's not sonic, even if it's not a Linkin Park kind of hybrid of the two, it's like, there's still so much influence, so much to be learned. Like, what are they doing well? And I think that's also what I'm looking at. It's like, not just visually, what are they doing well, but how does the industry work? What has been successful for them? And how do I bring that into the metal universe? And, I think release schedule is always the big one that I come back to, of like, it just seems like a weakness for a lot of bands and a strength for a lot of rappers. And it's like, I think the more we can lean into this, and I guess the flip side of this is Memphis May Fire putting out 8 singles off a 10-song album. It's like, all right, maybe we got to do a little bit better there, and not have the whole album out. But there is some balance to be had there.
I think another thing is with a lot of like alternative genres, like, you know, like for rap, right? Like, I don't know if you know, but Kodak Black, like, even though he's very popular, he's very famous, he's very big, he still records in his basement. Like, he may have a nice house or whatever, but he sets everything up himself. He has a home producer. He records everything at home. And he has so much music to release. And that's why he drops a new album, a new EP every like 3-4 months.
Yep.
Whereas I feel like metal music also does take a little more time because you have to do the guitars, drums, bass, whatever, you know, and especially for like a vocalist, right? Like, you can do a couple rap takes, you know, if it's mumbly, who cares, right? Whereas
your voice
like,
is gonna be fine, yeah.
Exactly. Whereas like my screaming, I do a lot of step-by-step takes throughout the songs because I like to have a different sound for every sort of position, right? So like one part I want to do a high, but that next line, that just after line, I might want to do a really low, but then have a mid after that. So I think that's a big reason too, is like they have beats made, they have people who are constantly doing it for them, whereas like bands may have to take more time doing that because they are literally writing and trying to perfect every take, you know?
Yeah. But even then, like I think rap does a good job at embracing the imperfections.
Exactly.
And I think sometimes in metal they're trying to make the perfect take, and it's like, I think Spirit Box was talking about this as well, where they put out their album and they kind of, in their own words, said like, this isn't A+ production. We wanted a real album with a real sound.
Exactly.
We didn't want it to be this hyper polished, perfect thing, because that's not what this world is built on. Like, I think Knocked Loose, going back to that example, is like the perfect thing of like, they're still playing basements. Like, they're still playing without a click a lot of times. Like, they're still playing, like, it is a world designed to be messy and chaotic at times. And they've done a good job leaning into that. And it's so easy to chase the shiny thing, because when we're new and local and getting into this, it's like, yeah, when all we have is garage bands in a bedroom, of course we want the $1 million studio. Yeah. But the consumers of this they don't care about the $1 million. They don't care about any of that. What they care about is something that feels raw and real and like connects to what they're feeling. And none of this world is people feeling good. Like, I think the underlying nature of our industry is like, this is about people in pain, trying to find other people in pain to hear that, to feel a little bit better themselves. Like, no one is coming here because life is sunshine and rainbows and everything is perfect. Like, that's not how you end up in this universe.
Exactly.
And I think it then becomes foolish to pursue the perfect shiny thing, where it's like, no, none of this is perfect and shiny. That's why we're here in the first place.
I always say that in the studio when we're recording demos or like when we're together in the garage or whatever. I'm like, remember, this doesn't have to be perfect right now. Yeah. Like, we're just having fun. And like, let's continue to have that fun, because the moment you take that thing that you love so much and you make it so business made, like you turn it into just business, is the moment that spark and that flame becomes, you know, a money sign, you know? 100%. Of course, end game, like, we want to be able to tour and do this nationally and have fun doing it. But that's why I said, like, let's just do what we enjoy and put the things that we enjoy into our music. We don't have to, like you were saying, like, we don't have to be a clone of this band or that band. Like, we can be who we are and enjoy what we make and keep putting out that kind of music.
100%. I think especially, like, I think it's important to have fun with it, because this is not sustainable without fun. Like, the life you describe in the van is not possible if this is about dollar signs. Like, there's not enough dollar signs that can make a 0 degree van worth it. Like, there is no amount of money that makes that worth it. Like, it has to be a process you enjoy. I also got some advice one time with creative that it's like, most things are done at 80%. And what they meant is, like, once I'm editing a music video, like, the last 20% is like, is this blue? Is this teal? Should it be a brighter teal? Like, what should, and it's like, most people don't fucking care. They don't know. Like, most things are done at 80%. Most things are done once the bulk of it is done. And in the context of, like, with your vocals, I'm sure it's like, it's so tempting to go back and like, I think I can make that low lower or beefier or fuller or hold it longer. And it's like, most people aren't going to notice. Most people are going to hear the bulk of the structure and the last.
And like, wow, that's sick. Yeah, exactly.
100%. And most people are, that last 20% is something that will keep you up at night and ruin your life. And for me, creatively, as in parts of music videos, does. Or like, I've been doing a lot of like Unreal Engine stuff, so it's creating like landscapes. And like, I just the other night I was out. I was with some friends. I have a music video coming out for Euclid that I think will be out. Actually out by the time this episode airs.
Awesome.
But there's like a forest in it that I made. And I was like looking at a forest like on this hill that we were just out back of a venue. And like some of the trees were like the way the trees were made me go, fuck, I should have added some of those trees to mine. Like some of my rocks were in the wrong place. Some of the trees I used were the wrong climate for this. And it's like, no one's gonna watch that music video and think of the trees and the grass are from the wrong. So
they're
climate.
watching the music
like,
video. Yeah,
100%.
It's because it goes to that thing where it's like you're always gonna be your own biggest critic. Like, exactly. So I see that like in the studio too. Like sometimes like there have been vocal takes I've done where I'm like, oh, it scratches there a little bit, but my producer would be like, dude, it's literally not that deep. We've been doing this for 20 minutes. Let's move on.
100%.
And then I'm like, fine. But I feel bad about it, and I'm like, I'm not fine. But I know that when he mixes it and he edits it and he puts it all in, it's gonna be like you're not gonna notice it. Yeah. But I always notice it.
100%. But I think that I always try and challenge myself. Like, no, that scratch is what makes this thing real and human. And to go back to the first idea of like, no one wants the perfect polished thing. If they wanted perfect polish, they wouldn't listen to screaming. They would listen to Adele sing. Like that is perfect and polished.
Exactly.
And what we're doing is already augmented and like, imperfect by nature.
Yeah.
And that scream or the scratch in your throat tells us that everything else we heard was real.
Yeah.
And that's what separates it from, a super hyper produced thing. And I don't know. I'm constantly balancing my head because as artists, we want everything to be perfect. We want all the details to be perfect. And it's like, I think the beauty is in the imperfections, but that's not a satisfying end. Like no one wants to end a project unfulfilled. But it's, a battle that we're always fighting here. You mentioned that there was I almost called me Escape the Fate band, but I know they weren't. Reverse the Curse was before. You mentioned you started playing drums at like 5 or so.
Yes.
When do you get into drums? How does that become Reverse the Curse?
So this is just kind of funny. It builds up because I started doing vocals around like 12-ish, 11, 12-ish.
Okay.
But when we were younger, like when my brother was like, like that 6, 7 years old, learning how to play guitar. My dad's a guitarist, so he wanted, my brother to learn because it's always fun to learn a little bit of an instrument, and he grew up, he did his thing. And then when I was like 5 years old, we had this really shitty, like all black basic drum kit in our basement.
Okay.
And he would just he had a little workshop down there. So he would take us down there. And I remember him putting me on the kit and was like, play this. And he would put on AC/DC and stuff. Clearly, I'm 5 years old, so I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just kind of hitting things, making noises, whatever.
That's how I still feel on a drum set to this day.
But he, he loved that because, at least I'm doing something. And it's like, I'm not just sitting there like, I don't know. I'm just trying. And then as, for a few years I stopped, because we didn't have that kit anymore. And then I think when I got to my, like I said, like that 11, 12-ish, we actually did get a new kit. And I started playing it pretty often. And
were you taking lessons? Were you playing like drumline in school? Was it just all self-guided?
Self-guided, honestly. I would just watch videos on like how to follow a beat.
YouTube University.
Literally. I would, and being so young, we had our family computer, and we would always listen to music on it and watch videos. And I would just like how to play drum, like because I'm young, I don't know anything. But I would just like watch and watch and watch, and then when I played more, I noticed I was getting better at like being on time or like hitting the right notes at the right moment, because again, I was very raw. I was very imperfect on it. And then when I got a little more older and we moved, I was actually able to get an electric kit. This like shitty Alesis, but I loved it because it was something that I could plug my headphones into and play. And I had one kick pedal, but I listened to only music with a double kick. So I tried to learn how to do double kick with one kick pedal, and I did for a while. But then the moment I got a double kick, I was like, that's like when
everything changed.
Yeah, exactly. My first band, Reverse the Curse, started like technically with me and Dawson freshman year. But we went to different schools, so it didn't end up lasting. And then COVID happened, so we weren't able to see each other as much, and we lived a little further apart, and whatever. So my senior year of high school, me and my brother and a couple of my friends from school that I met and whatever, just like we came together. We started like playing songs. We started putting stuff out, doing our thing. And then we started playing shows, and we were like having so much fun doing it. And then the end of our senior year, our other guitarist ended up going to a skateboarding school in Pennsylvania. Our drummer
at Woodward, I assume.
Yeah, Woodward. Yeah. Woodward is cool, by the way. I think I passed it the other day or something when me and Dawson went to Sheets. We literally went to Sheets on Wednesday. We drove all the way to Sheets just for food. We drove all the way back.
What at Sheets made that worth the trip?
The food. We'll get to that. But we all kind of just parted ways, doing our own thing, and we ended up, finding this lineup, and we rebranded to Devitalized because me and my brother were like, Reverse the Curse, clearly everyone thinks it's Escape the Fate. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not really our image. It's not really our sound. You know. We switched to Devitalized. We started putting out deathcore, like from the structure, music, like from the heart, and we were like, "This is us. This is our sound." You know. Had a lineup, did a bunch of cool things, parted ways because everyone was in a different genre. Like once again, just a lot of different ideas that weren't coming together. And then we got Dawson, and then Tommy, and then Andrew. We all came together, recorded State of Aggression, and we were like, this is like who we are.
Found it. Yep.
You know, and now we're in our zone. We're writing a bunch of crazy shit right now, and I'm actually very excited for it.
Hell yes. 7 things there that I want to touch on. I'm going to go back to the first one, and we'll kind of catch up to present day through there. One part is you mentioned how like you were teaching yourself on YouTube. Yeah. And my tie here is that my buddy, my friend Sean, who's a vocalist of Doomscope, is also a producer. Has
Sean Dalk, he's our producer.
Oh hell yes. Okay. Hell yes. The homie, the best guy. He has some young kids, and he was explaining how like one of them I think was like learning how to like tie his shoe or something. And so Sean walks in the room, and the kid up on TV has like how to tie my shoe. Yeah. And for Sean, it was this like aha moment of like, oh, he's gonna be A-okay. Like learning that you can teach yourself whatever you want just by typing into YouTube is like you can learn how to be a plumber, you can be an electrician, you can learn how to be a drummer, you can learn whatever you want once you accept that it's on YouTube and I just have to go put the time to watch it. I think it's also as contrasting of like, I think a lot of our scene learned that way. I think a lot of our scene is also not like super academically inclined. Were you good in school? Like, did you have that same drive in school to do it? Or was like drums the one thing that like connected and made you do it?
Hell no. The only thing I was good at in school was history. I sucked at math. I wasn't the best at science. Like it depended on the class, like if it was bio or whatever. Of course, everyone likes gym because it's one period you can do whatever the fuck you want. I had a music class.
It's recess with a grade. I'm in.
Exactly. Music class I love doing, of course. And honestly, like English was just very chill. Like it was very like reading and hanging out and like whatever.
As a lyricist, like there is some appreciation of words.
For sure. And, like I learned a lot of big boy words in those classes. So that I think I can take a little appreciation from that. But honestly, the only subject I was very, very good at for my whole like school career from like, I'm talking K through 12, whatever, was history. I was so inclined in history. I loved learning about war. I loved learning about the government. I loved learning about those things. And that's actually where a lot of my influence comes from in the music. Because I make a lot of music about like government shit and like all that bad stuff that they do. And like,
there's plenty of it to write about.
Exactly. You know, you have thousands of years worth or whatever, hundreds of years worth. But in school, I was just a quiet, like, you know, I did my thing, but I wasn't like one of those kids that walked around the hallway with a separate teacher, you know. I you know, like the one kid that
took me a second.
The one kid that just can't sit in a classroom because he's just actually an asshole. Like, no, I wasn't like that. I just kind of did my job and did my thing, but I hated homework. Like I couldn't do math homework. I couldn't do this shit. I just didn't want to.
I think there's such a beautiful duality there of the kid who, can't do the homework, but will go out of his way to sit and learn drums and like learning drums at that point. Especially like it's counting. It is math. It is very structured and rigid. And like, I think it's interesting how those things often coexist at our scene here.
That was me. Like I learned how to do things in different ways. And I enjoyed music so much in school and like, you know, I liked my music class. There was the music kids that like, you know, they were like reading music and they're like, oh, you can't be a musician if you can't read music. And I'm like, I can't read music, but here's this band I'm in. And they'd be like, how? You know, so
you mentioned that you also enjoyed music class. Did you like ever get into like the school band or the orchestra? Did you ever like do any of like the traditional music in school?
Not really. No, I just I had took one of those like DJ classes, you know, like those after school DJ classes that they would offer here and there.
Sure.
So I like learned how to do like mixing and mastering and stuff, like the easy basics.
That goes a long way though. Just knowing the basics of what is a compressor, how do songs flow, all these like time signatures, all BPM kind of stuff. It's like even that little bit would help so much once you're now in a band and like you can go talk to Sean and like have open communication with him and be on the same page and understand the words he's saying. Where like I have no sense of that. Like I know a compressor is a thing. I can kind of begin to, but I have no fucking idea what it does. Like reverb, echo. It's like, okay, I understand reverb, echo because they're the same in video and I can kind of like, could do the translation there. But I have no audio brain at all. Like it just doesn't exist in my brain. And I think a little bit of that would go a long way in the context of being in a band.
My music teacher always told me, he's like, dude, just join the school band. Like it's a fun time. And I was like, nah. Like, nah, I don't
Are
want
there
to.
breakdowns or not?
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
it's just because they would play like very basic, you know, like, and that stuff is cool and it's fun. And, you know, I know they play the basketball games and they, you know, they do the but you know,
Sure.
but I don't know. It wasn't very big in my interests.
Yeah.
And I like, again, they wanted, like, I can't read music. Like, I don't know. I understand it, but I don't, if that makes sense. So I would always just decline it respectfully and be like, I just like make what I like. And I like to listen to what I feel and that shit. And he was like, no, I get it. But I should have.
Are you still drumming, or like are you still into DJing? Like I understand you're doing vocals for Devitalized, but is there other music outside of this that you're creating just for fun, or is Devitalized consuming most of the attention at this point?
I sometimes make like rap music.
Sure. Have you put any out?
No.
Okay.
Not really. I did
But not really here. It's really interesting to me.
I put out 2 singles under like my like other title, like Sewer Goblin. It was like my Instagram handle. I did put out 2 songs. They're honestly, it's all like joke music that I do like in my room on like FL Studio, you know, the cracked version, because I can't afford that. But I have thought about doing some solo like side music for fun, just like seeing how like crazy I can experiment with whatever. I used to produce like beats and make like retro wave songs a lot and stuff. But no, I'm not doing anything crazy yet. But I have had thought about of like maybe doing a couple of side project songs or something.
Always curious, and I've told the story on here a bunch, so I feel like I feel like a broken record sometimes, and that's the hard part about doing whatever 94 episodes at this point is like I feel like I've said everything that I have in my brain, but it's still interesting to me. It's still part of what comes out of my mouth. There was this book called Outliers that I read, and it's about people who are exceptional. Kind of explains what made them so exceptional, what their process was. And one of the chapters about the Beatles, who I'm not the biggest fan of the Beatles, but I understand that they are
one of the most influential bands in
100%.
probably history.
And so what the chapter in the book outlined for them is like before they came to the States, they were playing bar shows in the UK. And this is before they had any fun, before they were anyone, but they were on stage from 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. or just these crazy like 8 or 9 hour epic sets they were doing all the time. So that by the time they got here, they were so comfortable with each other. They were comfortable on stage. They were comfortable with music. Like they had gotten so much experience out of the way that by the time they came here and had a platform, they were so ready to thrive and be who they became. And to me, the lesson there is like, even if you're making rap songs that aren't for Devitalized, like it is worth it to keep making stuff just as you continue to flesh out ideas and go through that process of it. So that's why I'm asking. That's why I'm always curious of like, not that everything we do has to make it to the level Devitalized is at, but I do think there is a lot of value of just continuing to do the thing regardless and just going through that process as many times as possible. And I think for myself with photo and video, like it was always like, I knew from a very early age of like, I need to do this as much as possible. And that means working for free. And everyone in my world is like, don't work for free. You're undercutting, blah, blah, blah. It's all this. And like, there is some value to that. But for the most part, it's like, I can't make any money if I'm not good at the thing. And the only way to get good at the thing is to do the thing over and over and over. And that means the shitty shows. And I think this is where tour again becomes so valuable for a band is like, that's the only way to play 8 shows in 8 days or whatever, 8 shows in 10 days or something. Like if you play the VFW 8 days in a row, like go fuck yourself. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
But if you can get to different states and now you have an opportunity and now the stage time adds up and accumulates so that when I don't know, so when Dreamweight calls for the, the show they had at the Palladium upstairs, the holiday show, I'm forgetting what they call it. I think they have a name
the one
for
that
it.
we played,
The
right,
one
with
you
Rose Lane and
yeah,
stuff.
and so like once the Palladium gives you that call, like you're so much more prepared for it because you've traveled, because you've done the thing enough times that is not like a scary place to be. And I think this idea of just trying to do the thing as much as possible kind of gets lost in the effort of being like, we want to play the big shows, we want to put out the best song, and it's like cool, but also do FL Studio in your bedroom. Like this is also a part of making good Devitalized music, even though it's not at all related.
So yeah, like I still sometimes like produce beats. Like I don't do it as much as I used to just because like sometimes I do feel like they're not good enough or whatever. You know, it's just like I'll get like 20 seconds made and then I'm like, I don't know what's next. Like I get pretty harsh writer's block. But then like I'll listen to it and then like the next time we're in the studio, I'll be like, do this with the guitar. And it will be like the same, like whatever from that. And it sounds great or whatever it is. One thing I do a lot though is watch videos on stage presence.
Interesting.
I watch live videos all the time, like of people at festivals or whatever, because one thing I have terrible stage fright. Like every time I step on a stage, no matter if there's nobody there or if there's like 5 people there or like hundreds of people there, whatever it is, I am like I'm terrified because I start to shake because I'm like, oh, look at all these people like looking at all of us, you know? So I watch videos on like, I'll just watch like festival videos, recaps, whatever, and I'll like listen to like how they react to their crowd or talk to their crowd or whatever. And it kind of gives me a self of, like a sense of encouragement or something. Yeah. It helps me know that the next time I go and play a show, like, okay, maybe like try to be more confident in this aspect, or if I'm talking about a song, like don't feel like, you know, because sometimes I feel like if I be like, oh, go stream, go check us out, like I don't want to sound like cocky in a way, but I'm just trying to be in a band, like do my job as a vocalist to hype up the crowd. Yeah. And I've gotten so much like further doing that than like ever before, honestly. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, those videos have helped me like become more like comfortable on like the stage itself, and I think I've definitely eased my my stage fright, but sometimes I'm still terrified, honestly.
I'm always shocked. I think like for me, I grew up a soccer player, and soccer is like, I feel like the foundation that everything kind of ties back to for me. And I never felt nervous for a soccer game. It was always like, I am eager to go do the thing. And so I always assumed that bands were the same way of like, they're like, finally I get to fucking show these fucking motherfuckers what I'm about. Yeah. And the more I chat with bands, like most of them are like you. Most of them are like, God damn, it's time. Now what? What is the 15 minutes, half an hour before a show like for you? Like, is it just pure panic? Is there anything that like, do you meditate before a show? Like, is there anything you try and do to like keep the panic at bay? What are you trying to do? Like, what is the 15, 30 minutes before a show like for you then? Or before a set like?
There's been a couple rough ones. There was one show we did at the Palladium where we were all backstage, like right before we were going on, and I was shaking. Like I was on the verge of throwing up. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Yeah. And our bassist, Tommy, he looks at me, he's like, dude, you do this like every week. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, dude, I just can't. I can't. Like, and then he'll snap me into it, be like, bro, shut the fuck up. Like, you're fine. You're okay. Just take a couple breaths, take a sip of water. Yeah. And then I'll literally do some squats, or I'll take deep breaths, or I wouldn't say meditate, but I definitely like try to put myself in a good mindset. And then we'll get to our walkout, and I'll hear like the beginning of Welcome Back play, and I'll hear like the click in my in-ear, and I know when it's about to be my time to like get on and like get ready to do the scream or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I have to fucking go. Like if I don't come out now, like I just look stupid. Because like, again, there have been times where they're like, dude, you got this. But then it's like time to go on, and they're like, dude, we're going either way. So like you figure it out. And then in the heat of the moment, I'm like, fuck. Yep. All right, I'm going to go do it, you know? Yeah. And then I get out there, I do my scream, I shake a little, and then I'm like, oh, I'm fine. Like, this is easy. Yeah. But yeah, the 15, 30 minutes before a show, like, I'm like always nervous. Like, I don't even know. And then I snap into it right when I'm like walking on. I think it's just like kind of putting on that mask. You're like, you got this. Like, this is what you want to do. This is something you're enjoying. Like, you know, it's stage fright, and they can't cope, you know, like they 100%. Can't hide yourself. So you just got to go and enjoy it. And I do it, and then I feel great. And I'm like, I knew I had that in the bag. I'm just, you know, in my own head.
I've got the same thing with my camera, and like I'm an anxious person. Like that is 100% a problem I deal with as well. And the advice I got that helped me a lot was just like, what's the worst case scenario here? Like, this thing in our brain, it's like, it's going to go so awful. And to me, it's like, in my case, for me, my stomach, you mentioned throwing up, and it's like, you can throw up on stage. Like, you would not be the first person to do it.
North Carolina.
and it does happen. And it's like, it helped me a lot of like, what is the worst case scenario? And as I went through at this point, I've been, doing camera stuff for, this is my 9th year, so almost 10 years. And it's like, I've been through a lot of what I think is worst case scenario. I've been to the place and someone doesn't show. I've been to the place and my gear blew up. I've been through these things. Yeah. And in every scenario, it turns out that I was able to figure it out. And it didn't feel good. I didn't like it. Maybe it didn't go the way I wanted it to, but like, it was fine. And in the context of playing the show, it's like, no matter how nervous, if my microphone blows up, I'm going to grab someone else's mic. If I have to do it without a mic, then that's going to suck and no one's going to hear me. But like, it'll happen. It'll figure it out. Yeah. And like, somehow that, I don't know, staring that demon in the face of like, I've been through the worst case scenario, and even the worst case scenario isn't really as bad as I think it is. Like, there's almost nothing that can happen on stage that hasn't happened before. And it's like, go out there and faint, it's probably good for the band. Like, it's going to suck for you. It's going to be a scary, shitty night. But, like, the story of you fainting about the band will go everywhere on social media. Everyone will reach out to Devitalized. And now Devitalized gained 100 new fans because you fainted on stage. So it's like, even the worst case scenario is not that bad. And it would suck on a personal level. And it would be, of course, fainting is not a good thing. But I'm trying to think of, like, whatever the rock bottom worst case scenario here, it's like, it'll be okay. And that I'm still, struggling with that. Of course, I still get nervous before my camera stuff. Like, before a music video, I'm still going, fuck. And I think it's a similar band thing of like, I'm pretty sure I can make a good product here. I want to make a great product. And that jump is what makes it scary. And I assume with a band, it's the same thing of like, I know I can scream the songs. I know I can do the thing, but I don't want to do the thing. I want to do it in a way that's unforgettable. And it's that extra level of pressure that makes it scary. And I still empathize with. But I think I've had a lot of success of being like, what's the worst? What am I gonna do? Fucking throw my camera in a waterfall? Like, there's like, no, I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna be okay here. Things are gonna be okay. And I don't know. It's an interesting challenge to me though, because again, I think as a kid growing up, it's like I would like to see the bands on stage as superheroes, and it's like, no, they're all human. And humans generally feel the way you do 30 minutes before the big event, before the big thing.
I'm sure, like, most of the bands, like, and probably even Chris Moschel, like, he plays in front of a stadium full of people. There's no way he's going out there, like, with his game face on, Like, he's probably jittering inside, whatever, Yeah,
I think the pressure then flips then, right? Because I think for us, it's like, well, what if I'm not good enough? And for him, it's like, I've already been good enough for this long. Can I still reach that level? Like, and I think with someone like Chris Motionless is a great example of, like, what the fans expect from him is more than what he could ever be. And that's got to be a very weird pressure of like, they think I'm up here and I know as a human, I'm mortal. I'm only here. And so how do I become the superhuman figure they're expecting me to be? And I think that pressure never goes away. It just changes and evolves. It becomes a new flavor of pressure here. Interesting. I got what I want to wrap up on here. We just did our hour, which is incredible. So two last pieces I want to touch on here. One, I talk a lot in here about like my business cards, and I know this is a story that resonates with you as well. Where for a while my strategy to grow my business was going up to everyone at any venue ever and giving them a copy of my business card and saying, "Hi, I'm Peter." And you mentioned how it's like scary to get on stage as a vocalist and say, "Hey, stream my band's album." And for me, it was the same thing of like, look at my work. It's like, no, they'll look if they want to. And quickly, what you realize is like, I got the advice that like, hope is not a marketing strategy. I can't hope that someone goes out and looks at my shit. My job is to give them the gateway to my shit. And if they don't take it, then whatever, that's on them. But like, I can't hope that word of mouth that someone tells, like, that's not valid. That is something that will happen and is some 1 or 2% of growth, but that can't be the main vehicle. So for me, the business cards was a huge thing, both in like getting my name out and also getting more comfortable going to people and saying, "Hey, I am Peter. This is what I do." And I was very confident that like, they might ignore the first business card, they might ignore the second one, but if I'm at the Palladium 4 times this week, people are also going to do the Palladium 4 times a week because the shows are going to be similar. And by the 4th time you see my face, they're going to go, "Who the fuck is this kid? What is this?" I got a message from you, 6 months ago where you were like, "Holy fuck, I got your business card 6 years ago. It's cool to see this thing." And it made me laugh of like, this thing is still paying dividends. My question for you then is like, what are you doing to grow the band? Where I think tour is one piece of this, but like, what other strategies are you using to try and make Devitalized as big as it can be? What are you doing to try and, again, not use hope as a marketing plan?
So one thing, like anytime, like, when I'm at work or something, right? If someone comes in and I see them all tatted up and I can tell, like you always can tell if they listen to something similar. I always go, if you like metal, check out my band. I hand them a business card. Anytime we're at a show, like we play a show or we go to a show or whatever it is, I always be like, "Oh, I'm in this band Devitalized. We do deathcore, whatever. If you're interested, we're promoting a bunch on TikTok. We're doing like the thing." My bassist at work, he, if he's walking down the street or whatever, he does the same thing. Like we all kind of like, anytime we go somewhere, we kind of just like, "Hey, or like when we went to Sheets, right? We went to Pennsylvania, we drove all the way to Sheets. We did that whole trip, me and Dawson. The lady was like, "Why'd you come from Massachusetts?" And literally like, we were like, "Oh, we're actually in a band. We were out here on tour. And it was great, and we just wanted to come back because it's a fun experience, So we do like little hints of promoting. We're getting better at it. We're kind of coming out of our shells and comfort zone with that because again, it's like, don't want to seem cocky or whatever.
It does,
but
suck.
It's one of those things that we just have to do. And we're starting to like go put up posters and stuff of shows or whatever, and we're just doing as much marketing as we can that way and promoting that way.
I think that's the key, and I think it is. Yeah, it's a long game, and I think in the same with all these people, it's like with that cashier at the Sheets, it's like she might not have looked up Devitalized that time, right? This is maybe she did, maybe she didn't. We have no idea.
Yeah,
but when Devitalized plays a show there and that ad hits her and it's like, oh, that's the guys.
Yeah.
May not check it out again. The third time, the fourth time. It's like eventually this thing becomes undeniable and it's about planting the seeds now so that the second, third, fourth time you see them, it's like, this band is everywhere. Why do I keep seeing this band? You have no choice but to go check them out at some point.
And she literally was like, you guys drove all the way up here from Massachusetts for Sheets?
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, we love Sheets, you know? So we do like stuff like that, you know? It's like, and she was going around telling her coworkers, they came all the way here from Massachusetts. They're in a band, blah, 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 you know? So I guess it's like that stuff, you know?
100%.
We're doing the little mouth of word, you know? Or word of mouth, whatever,
It's all good, beautiful. That's that. My last question for you that I'd like to wrap up on here is what's something that you're like currently learning or something you're working on like outside of music here? So we talked a lot about the music. We talked about all about the drums, about the kind of journey here. I think, I like to celebrate the music part, but I understand that we're all holistic and much more rounded people. And sometimes the pearls outside of music are the most fascinating part of the whole thing to me. What's something outside of music not related to this that you're currently learning, working on, love doing? Yeah, what is something?
I'm actually starting to get into like pest control business and stuff.
Interesting.
And, like, I'm getting, I'm like trying to get a more like lifetime sort of job. Sure. Or like, I'm working on getting my trucking license and my hoisting stuff. So I can start driving around and doing like city work. So I guess that's the one thing I'm doing outside of music. I know it's crazy, right?
Pest control. What pests are we controlling? How are we getting into this? Is it like a family business? Is there some tie here?
I don't know. It just it's like one of those jobs that nobody want to do. And I'm like, I love like working and like wanting to make money. So
100%.
I saw that these like places are like desperately hiring and they're like willing to pay so much. I'm like, shit, I'm gonna get that license.
100%. It's also the perfect trades thing of like a plumber. It's like people are gonna be clogging toilets for all of eternity. Like people are gonna have rats in their house forever, and someone needs to go deal with it. Yeah.
And the thing is I hate bugs. Like I have like pretty bad arachnophobia. I don't like bugs. Like I don't like insects, but I'm doing it because I'm like, fuck it. You know, maybe I'll get better with nature that way or something.
War, you get paid to kill your nemesis, which I think is kind of a beautiful thing. Sure.
Exactly.
Beautiful. That is one way to wrap up a podcast for damn sure. Episode 94 from Everyone with JP. JP, where can they find you on social media? Where can people follow you? Where can people stream Devitalized? What should people know before you get here?
You can follow me personally, Sewer Goblin Official that Sewer Goblin on all platforms, and Devitalized MA on all platforms.
Sick. I know the album's been out for a little bit, and hopefully by the time this comes out, there'll be other stuff to promote here. But on the album, is there a song you want people to start with? Is there a place that people should begin? I think, some people listen to an album, to me, is always overwhelming. What is a song? What's the starting point? Should it be in order? Is the 8th song a hidden gem to you? What is the one?
I think everyone, if you're going to listen to our new album or like our first album, State of Aggression, start to finish, the whole album is a loop. It starts with the elevator and it ends with the elevator. So it's one of those, the whole message behind it is like an elevator, goes up and down, and life has plenty of ups and downs, and you never know like what floor is going to have or what it's going to look like or whatever. So the whole message behind that is it starts from the top and then you get down there and then the elevator dings at the end. And it's like, you're going right back into the elevator, you're going right back to your next destination, whatever it is. I know it's like a weird way to
I like that.
To put it together, cool. But you just got to listen to the whole album because it's very different. Every song is different, but it just shows who we are and like what we like.
Fuck it. That was an incredible sales pitch. Go stream Devitalized. Hell yeah. Thanks for checking it out. Have a nice life. If you made it this far, leave a like, comment, rate, subscribe, all these dumb things that I hate asking for, but the show is small enough that a single like or comment does help. So yes, have a great life. We'll talk soon. Episode 94 from Everyone.
Thank you.